Hey guys, it's Katie with S&B, and today we're going to install the new particle separator for the Can-Am X3. So let's get started. You're going to start by sliding the front passenger seat all the way forward to gain access to the 2 bolts in the back. And then you're going to slide the passenger seat back to gain access to the 2 bolts in the front. After all those nuts and bolts are removed, you can then remove the seat from the vehicle. Now you're going to remove the stock cover from the vehicle simply by pulling up. Once it's removed, you want to make sure the grommets are still installed on the vehicle. Next, you're going to pull out the Cvt Pre-Filter by lifting up the latch and pulling out. Install the silicone tube sleeve onto the S&B duct adapter, and you'll want to make sure that the groove is lined up with the little notch. Install the silicone tube sleeve into the Cvt Pre-Filter that you had just removed, and then you're going to flip it over to make sure that the lip is all the way on the outside. Next, you're going to install the Cvt Pre-Filter back into the vehicle, making sure that these 3 tabs are in their place, and then pushing it down to make sure that it locks. To prep the S&B intake cover, we're going to install the push-in prongs and the screws using some Loctite. Now you're going to install the S&B air intake cover over the Cvt Pre-Filter, and then you're going to push down to make sure it's fully seated in the grommets. Now we're going to prep the particle separator for install using the provided hardware. We do supply 2 different size straps, one for the upper bar and one for the lower. We're going to install this one on the lower bar, so we'll use the larger straps. Next, you're going to install the clamp adapter onto both sides of the particle separator. Apply a little bit of Loctite before you tighten them down. Loosely install the straps and the pivot bodies onto the roll cage. Now you're going to loosely install the L brackets onto the pivot bodies, making sure that this part is facing inwards. Now we're going to install the particle separator onto the vehicle. The reason why we kept the straps and the L brackets loose is so you can play around with it to see at what height and angle you want to install it at. It is easier to install with 2 people, and when you line up the adapter and the L bracket, make sure that the grooves are matching. Now that the particle separator is in place, we're going to tighten down all the hardware. Now we need to measure how much flex ducting we're going to use, and the easiest way to do that is to install it on the S&B duct adapter and then curve it over the clean air plenum, and then give yourself an extra inch, but you'll just mark it and you'll cut all the way around. With the flex duct cut to length, you're then going to loosely install both end cuffs and the hose clamps. Now you're going to install the flex duct and make sure that the side with the seal goes into the intake cover. Once you have it installed, you can then tighten down the hose clamps. Now we need to disconnect the negative cable on the battery, and if yours has a battery cover, you'll just pull out these 4 push rivets and then you can remove it. This is an aftermarket battery, so it does have 2 posts, and we're just going to remove both of them. Using a flathead screwdriver, we're just going to pop out this panel on the passenger side. Removing that panel is going to give you access to the bus bar, and it's going to be the ground, the positive, and the accessory. And then you're just going to take your wire harness with the 3 ring terminals, and they're all labeled, and just hook them up to their correct post. With the back panel removed, you're going to see the coil packs on top of the engine, and you're just going to pick one of the orange wires coming out of the coil pack to attach the ignition sensor to. With the ignition sensor harness and the main harness installed, we're just going to route them up back here and then plug them into the control harness. Before you route and zip tie the wire harness, you're going to want to reconnect the negative terminals on the battery and just start it up to make sure that the fan works properly. We routed the wire harness off camera because it was kind of hard to see, but you just want to keep it away from any hot or moving parts. Now you're just going to connect the harness to the particle separator, and then you can reassemble everything and you're good to go. Alright guys, that's the installation of the particle separator on the Can-Am X3. If you have any questions or you just want to know more, you can always give us a call or you can check it out on our website, and I'll see you next time.